Whoa, Michael, stop swinging. Stop swinging. Welcome back to UFC Roundup. Michael Chiesa is not relaxed in the relaxation lounge, as you can see right there at the UFC PI. I'm, of course, at home in my basement. We got a lot to talk about.
We
had
do.
an amazing card that we both worked this past weekend at the Apex. Gamrot and Tsarukyan.
Yep.
A lot of controversy, a lot of people on the fence on who won that fight. So the judges' saga continues, even though I felt like this one was really close. You can't really argue too much. We got to hype up UFC 276, which is going down this coming weekend in Las Vegas. A lot of fights to talk about on that card.
And it's International Fight Week.
International Fight Week.
Woo!
You're out there already, ready to go. I'm at home because I'm old and lazy and my fiance is pregnant. So you got to fight your battles. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You got to pick your battles and fight the ones you can win. And that one, I was like, I'm not going out there for International Fight Week when I got the family home. Anyway, let's talk right off the bat. Gamrot, Tsarukyan. Obviously, Gamrot wins 3 rounds to 2. What did you think? Because I'll be honest, I'm just going to come out right now in the moment. Now, granted, when we're commentating and you're doing color commentator, you're working the desk, so you guys get to kind of invest in it a little bit more, but still you're working. I had it 2-2 going into the 5th. Now, I may have missed some things. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, and I'm not a judge. I'm talking to Michael Bisping. I'm talking to Brendan Fitzgerald. I got my producers giving me feedback in my ear. There's a lot going on when we work the show. That's why we're not there to judge the thing. But I had a 2-2. I forgot. I didn't really notice that knockdown with the spinning back fist in the 4th. That's what we're going to talk about. So let's talk about that right there. What rounds did you have initially for who and why?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, this fight was so good that we are opening up UFC Roundup talking about this fight instead of UFC 276. I mean, Paul, you said it best. You put out that tweet saying, like, this is the future of mixed martial arts. Like, the display of skills that both of these men put on was so tremendous. The first 2 rounds, it was Tsarukyan, and it looked like to me Tsarukyan was really trying to get that statement win. It looked like he was trying to get this guy out of there, really trying to put a stamp on the fight, really put the heat on him in rounds 1 and 2. And let me tell you something when it comes to body language, people. When a fighter starts looking at the clock, not only does your opponent pick up on it, but the judges start to see it too.
Yeah.
And you can see Tsarukyan, I think it was round 3, he started to kind of take glances at the clock.
Yes,
and that was the round where we really started to see the big momentum shift start to sway in the favor of Gamrot. Now, the round 3 is not the one that is in question for me, because I think Gamrot did enough to win that round, but it was round 4. Round 4, he lands the huge spinning back fist, Paul. I mean, it took Gamrot off his feet. Tsarukyan
and I missed it. I did miss it in the moment. Dude, I saw the replay, though.
He spun through it perfectly. He drops Gamrot with the spinning back fist, but Gamrot is like, the guy's a freak. He's like, it's not even like he's a zombie. It's just like the guy has endless cardio. He's got a tremendous chin. If you didn't see the tweet, I said the guy's tougher than a $2 steak. And he really, like, right when he got dropped, he gets back up. He gets to the legs. He starts getting takedowns. And I'm with you. I had it 2-2 going into the 5th. And the 5th round was the most clear-cut round for Mateusz Gamrot, because you could see Tsarukyan is fading. In between rounds, they're saying, quit wrestling the guy. Trying to – Arman having that wrestling base, it's hard for – it's like when you get tired, that's what you go to. When you get tired, you go to your wheelhouse. Like, if you're a striker, but you can mix it up well with everything. If you're predominantly a striker, like, you're going to just rely on your striking when you're fatigued. Whereas Tsarukyan, his base, it originated with wrestling. So for him, when he gets tired, he's trying to wrestle. His coaches are telling him not to, because guess what? That plays right into Gamrot's skills, and Gamrot really took over the 5th. Just a tremendous fight. I think that this is one of those fights where down the line, these guys are going to fight again. And I hope so. I think it's going to be at the top of the heat, Paul. The one problem with this weight class is they're in the weight class that's riddled with the most superstars. Yep. Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje. It's going to be hard for those guys to break through to get to those name guys, because especially when you watch how good those guys are in that fight, no one's going to want to fight them.
Dude, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, thank God I retired. Like, these are the guys that are going to be chomping, knocking on my door. You know what I mean? I remember taking a picture with Tsarukyan on Fight Island when the guy had just won, I think maybe his first or second fight after he debuted against Islam. And I was like, Jesus, these dudes are so good. I even said to Christine, my fiance, I was like talking to her today, and I think it was at the breakfast table, and Ashling, we took her to do whatever she's doing today, and I was like, these guys are so good.
Yeah.
Like I straight up just said it, like it's unbelievable. Both those guys are unbelievable.
I said this, in the pre-show. I said, Arman being 25, I couldn't stop talking about it. It's just how good he is at 25 years old is unreal.
Yeah.
And I said, I won my first UFC fight when I was 25, and if the 25-year-old me at lightweight had to fight the 25-year-old Arman Tsarukyan of today, it would be one-way traffic, my friend. The dude would kick my ass just to lay it out there. I'll say it shamelessly. That dude's got some skills. I mean,
skills,
and the
man.
fact that we're talking about him right now, like he didn't even win the fight. Like Mateusz Gamrot won the fight. He's tremendous. And the display of skills coming from the guy that came up short. I mean, the ceiling's so high.
I tried to tell him when Bisping was in there interviewing Gamrot before he interviewed Arman, I got his attention and I was like, bro, please head up. Because at that point, now he went back, he watched it. He's like, I won that fight. And he had a little more confidence about him again. But in the moment, he just couldn't believe it. Yeah. He couldn't believe he had just lost. I think he truly thought he left it all out there and he won the fight. And that is, that's a soul crushing feeling with a 5-round fight and it doesn't go your way. You're just like, oh my God, I just laid everything out there and get it. But yeah, I was like, dude, you're 25. You're 25. Take these L's now, even if you didn't technically, we're getting into that, but it doesn't matter. You guys have both showed that you are the future of where MMA is going. If our future lies in guys like Arman Tsarukyan and Mateusz Gamrot, then hell to the because the skills, because it's not just somebody that's going to wrestle. And I mean, both these guys did everything, kicking. I mean, Arman's body kicks, the way that Gamrot could take that damage, punch his way in and shoot those takedowns. How about the scrambles where he's arching his back completely, jumping back over, Granby rolls all over the place.
I don't know how he had the energy to go into round 5. Those are big moves. Those are big moves. Take a tremendous amount of energy. And before we move on to Izzy and Cannonier, the one thing I want to say is I talked to one of my teammates, Sasha, at Syndicate yesterday, and he's trained with both guys. And he said that Gamrot is just like the guy, endless cardio all the time. Like the guy, he could do that for 15 rounds if need be. And we could do a UFC roundup just designated for this main event. Fight. Well, let's start to talk a little bit of UFC 276, Paul. We got a tremendous main event: Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Cannonier finally gets his shot after he gets that big win over Derek Brunson. Israel Adesanya, super excited for some new blood. He's saying kind of similar things to what Kamaru Usman's saying. Hey, I'm starting to lap the competition. What are your thoughts on this main event, Paul?
Man, first of all, incredible, because now we've got a guy in Cannonier who we know what he's coming to do. I mean, he's well-rounded, no doubt about it. He can do everything, but he is coming to take the head off of the champion. There's no question in my mind that is what he is thinking. He keeps talking about it and all the buildup. He's human. I can break him. He doesn't care about his status. This is a man who is confident. He has gone through the division. He has faced the who's who and the best guys at 185 pounds. What he did to Brunson was scary, the way he can get on top of you. So I'm curious, first of all, at what the game plan is going to be, because I think if he can mix things in and get that top position like that at any point, he's scary to be underneath of, man. Really scary. But Izzy also, on the other side, seems a little bit, I almost want to say a little pissed off. Like he really wants to go out there. I think he feels like he hasn't had one of those showcases that we've known him for, why he is the style bender. I think he wants to get back to that flashiness, which could be good and bad. But if he pulls it off, I think we're going to see something spectacular out of the champ. I think he wants to go out there and really make a statement and get a finish. And he's wanted this fight, right? He talked about the new blood. He just something about Cannonier. You could tell he liked the challenge. I think he likes him as a martial artist and who he is and wants to confront him and wants to be able to handle him in the cage. So I love this fight. I'm glad that Cannonier was able to work his way to this spot because I like the matchup. I like how it's going to play out. I think it's going to be bloody. I think it's going to get messy. And I think there could be a finish.
Paul, I have a theory about why Israel Adesanya seems like he's so upset going into this fight. And I feel like he likes Jared Cannonier a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like he's got to turn that switch so hard to like not like the guy, because they have a lot of similar interests, the anime stuff. They're both kind of spiritual guys. And I think that he's intentionally having to flip this switch because he likes this guy so much.
Yeah.
Our one of our broadcasting counterparts and one of your good friends, top 5 contender Bilal Muhammad, put out a great tweet. Cannonier is going to be able to deliver the fight that we thought Paulo Costa could. And I truly believe that, because with the Paulo Costa fight, we're thinking this guy's a big physical bruiser. He's going to get in the champ's face. He's going to really, when you watch Paulo Costa fight, the guy is a tank. He just wants to come forward. He hits hard, devastating power, but he didn't deliver what we thought he would do. I think Cannonier's the guy that's going to he's going to be the one to give us that type of fight. And when you talk about the wrestling and being able to hold the champion down, we saw in the Whitaker fight where Whitaker came in with a very wrestling heavy approach, and Israel really passed that test with flying colors. You can tell when it came to training the wrestling aspect of that fight, he dotted his I's, he crossed his T's, his defensive wrestling was on point. But Robert Whitaker is not the biggest middleweight. And we're talking about a guy in Jared Cannonier. If you've ever seen the guy and like you go up and shake his hand, the guy is so freaking solid. Like, this is a guy that got knockouts at heavyweight, light heavyweight, and now middleweight. He has got knockouts across 3 weight classes in the UFC. And if he gets on top of you, it's a lot different. I feel like he's going to be the strongest opponent that Israel Adesanya has ever faced in his entire career. And I'll even go out on a limb and say that this man is stronger than Jan Blachowicz, and that says a lot. Jan Blachowicz has a ton of power. But I look at Jared Cannonier and how physical he is, his presence. The guy used to be a heavyweight. I think that this is going to be the strongest opponent that Israel has fought to date.
All right, Michael. Let's have it.
Ooh.
Who you got?
Oh, man, this is tough. This is really, really tough. But, you always have like this type of kind of like optimism when a champion's been so dominant for so long. You're kind of like, you almost convince yourself that the next guy up is going to be the one to beat him, and it's almost like you want to be the one to be able to say, I told you so.
Yeah.
I knew Cannonier was going to do it.
I know. I got a little bit of that feeling going too.
Yeah.
Like, what do I really think when I crunch the numbers?
I can't pick against the champ. I'd be fooling myself. Anything can happen when that octagon door closes, man. But Israel, just every time, for every opponent he faces, he adapts and he sticks to what he's best at. He sticks to what makes him the style bender, but he always adapts and makes the changes to his game to address each opponent. And that's what's led to him having such a great title reign. He addressed the wrestling against Whitaker. He was able to outkick Costa. Like, he sticks to what he's best at, but he always makes the right changes and adjustments headed into each of these fights, so he can almost beat his opponents at what they're best at, whether it's from an offensive standpoint or a defensive standpoint. So I'm definitely going with the champion, but I think it's going to go all 5 rounds.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah. Jared Cannonier is so tough. I mean,
yeah.
I agree. I think he'll be in the fight. I think he will have his moments and win some rounds as well, potentially. But I do agree that I think Izzy and his distance control and his speed and the way he's shown that he's always improving his wrestling and his overall MMA skills. I just think if he can avoid the really big shots, and he's been in there with guys, all the kickboxing that he's got, I think he'll be able to stay safe enough. I'm going to go with the champ as well. I think he'll be end still at the end of this one. I also think that it'll probably be a 5-round decision, but there's a freak accident in there. I think Cannonier could catch him and knock him out, but I'm going to go with Izzy as well.
And the thing with Cannonier too, Paul, is like,
and I like Cannonier. I hate it's 2 guys that I really hate picking against because I'm a fan of both guys' style.
Oh yeah, how could you not? And I think that the one thing, my one last little tidbit on this fight is, there is one fighter that showed a blueprint in how to be Izzy. And I'm not even going to say it's Jan Blachowicz, because he did get the best of the champ, but that was in a separate weight class. To me, Kelvin Gastelum in that interim title fight showed the blueprint to get in the champion's face, to throw hooks, to mix in the wrestling. I think Cannonier has the ability to do that. But once again, this is another one of those fights. I could just stay on this thing for hours. But speaking of 2 good guys that are so freaking hard to pick against, Max Holloway, Volkanovski.
Yeah,
we're getting a trilogy. The champion's gotten the best of Max the last 2 fights. This is very interesting, Paul, because this is obviously this is huge. This is two of the greatest featherweights of all time. I mean, not middleweight. Featherweight GOAT status is almost on the line right now. And
Yeah.
for Max, is this a crossroads for him, Paul? Is this one of those situations where if he can't get the best of Alexander Volkanovski in this third fight, and if Volkanovski stays at featherweight, like, is there a chance he could ever even get to another title fight, to get to a fourth fight if he goes down 3-love to the champ? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think it depends on where he is in his career personally, how long he wants to stay around. Does he have thoughts of moving up to 155 pounds? And I used to say that more about Max, but it seems like he really got the weight cut down to 145 much better. Like, he seems much better about that. I don't think he gets quite as big as he used to. I don't know if it's personal, because now he seems very happily married and he's got his family life all situated, and that'll make you a much better person and make that weight cut a whole lot easier if you're living that healthier lifestyle all year round. Because Max used to get big.
Yeah.
I've done some appearances with Max and hung out with him, and goddamn, he was bigger than me, and I was a lightweight. He was about 190 some pounds when I was hanging out with him.
He's big boy. I remember seeing him in Brooklyn before he was supposed to fight Khabib. And I got in the elevator with him, and I was like, "Dude, you're massive. Like, you're not 5'11". I'm
he's 6 foot. Yeah,
I'm almost 6'2", and I'm like, "You're a big guy." And I watched the Countdown show last night, and I could even tell. I'm not sure when they filmed that, but I watched the UFC 276 Countdown show, and Max looks significantly smaller. Like, he
looks like a featherweight now. Yeah,
he does. Maybe that was something in these other fights. Maybe it was the weight cut. Who knows what it was? But he seems to think that he made the changes to get the best of Volkanovski, Paul. But I gotta say this, man. I've been here at the PI for like a week now, and I was able to watch Volkanovski crack some pads with his coach, and I'm watching the guy move. I'm asking him, like, can I sit in this training session and just watch? Paul, I love watching people hit pads. I used to get online I used to ask Paul Felder when he was in camp. I used to ask Paul to send me videos of him hitting mitts because it's fascinating to me. But I love watching Volkanovski move. It just got me thinking. No wonder he is on such a great run as a champion. It's not just because of how great his skills are. I think he matches up well with anybody, but just watching the way he moves, he is a nightmare for tall guys. Yeah. He is a nightmare. And look at the guys he's fought.
Explosive.
Chang Sung-jung, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway twice, all taller guys within his title run. And he just, the way he moves, you can tell that is a hard guy to keep outside of your range if you're a taller opponent. Yeah. And I'm talking to his coach, and he says that Alex has this unreal vision where he knows just how to stay outside of these guys' ranges to where the taller opponents have to come to him. And it's usually the other way around. Usually the smaller opponent has to kind of get inside and pursue the taller guys, where his vision's so good, he can stay right on the outside to where these guys are just missing and they have to pursue him. And that's what opens up those opportunities for him to close the distance, get inside and do damage and do what he does best.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. I mean, what he did to Korean Zombie and how he battled through some of the adversity against Ortega. I think he's got it again, to be honest. But one of the things that we got to talk about is if Max, which is entirely possible, we know that he's unbelievable. If Max does win, then what? Does Volkanovski get a fourth fight right away? Do we bring in new blood and let Volkanovski take a little, just have a back seat for a little bit, maybe move up to 55 for a fight, have some fun, maybe fight just one more featherweight just to mix it up for himself and then come back? Because really anybody you put in front of Volkanovski, even God forbid he does lose his title, he's probably going to go and smash. I mean, I hate to say that, but the dude is too damn good. This is the issue with this division right now, is it's really been these two guys at the helm the whole time. So if Max does win, I feel bad for a lot of these featherweights because they may have to wait around again, because especially if let's say it's a barn burner of a fight again and these guys go toe to toe for 5 full rounds and Volkanovski gets his hand raised, or excuse me, Max gets his hand raised this time. What do we do?
Here's the thing. I think that for one, if Max beats Volkanovski, the good thing is, I think the next guy in line is got to be Josh Emmett. I mean, the guy had this tremendous main event against Calvin Kattar, a 5-fight win streak now, I think. kind of hard to deny the guy at that point. And I like, Josh Emmett deserves his shot. But it's just like, historically, Paul, within this company, that if a guy has been the champion for a very, very long time and they finally get their belt taken from them, they always get the immediate rematch. And it's warranted. It's just the problem is now we're, like I was saying before we started filming the show, now we're in Pacquiao Marquez territory. Now we're going to see, so if Volkanovski goes out and he loses to Max, then they rematch a fourth time, then he loses again, then they're 2-2. Then you got to do a fifth one. Do we do these fights back to back? Do we give, do we give another guy another shot? It's tough. It's so hard. And I did talk to, I did get a chance to talk to the champ. We're lounging in the other relaxation lounge downstairs. We're sitting in the hot tub and we start talking about Charles Oliveira, a guy that you've beat. This wouldn't be a UFC roundup show if I didn't bring up Charles Oliveira and the fact that my counterpart beat him.
I love that. I get the crap from the fans though, not you. I get it. Like I'm living on cloud nine. I'm jealous. I'm this, and I don't even bring it up half the time. And if I do, I bring it up in jest. Sorry. Anyway,
I found my way to bring him in.
Section.
But it really is on his mind. The idea of fighting Charles Oliveira is really on his mind, and it intrigues him because at one point in time, Charles Oliveira was a 45er. And, there's nothing about the dominance of Charles Oliveira that really has Alex shook. Like he looks like this is a guy that was a 45er. There's no reason why I can't go up and beat him. Tough to say, but you got to get through Max Holloway first. And if he does go up, and this is no disrespect to anybody at 145 pounds, Emmett's a tremendous fighter. Cater's a tremendous fighter. Giga Chikadze, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a very talent-rich division, but I wouldn't blame Alexander Volkanovski if he beats Max this Saturday. I don't blame him if he goes up to 155 pounds for a new challenge, because these guys are good at 145, but Alex is really pursuing greatness. He wants to be known as one of the best, and honestly, the only way to be proven as one of the best guys is to go up and capture a second title in another weight class.
Which is insane, right? I mean, I think we all agree that that's insane that you have to do that. But you're right. When the bar has been set that high, you do. But just real quick on that topic, I think that if Alex loses and he wants not even a rematch, if he wants a fourth fight, I think it's warranted. And I think he deserves it because how he's been. He gave Max all those same opportunities. Now, whether the UFC will do that or not, or whether he won it right away or not, it's all up to Saturday night to figure that out. So I'm not really sure.
And now there's another question, Paul. It's like within the UFC, we've only had 4 featherweight champions. So the Mount Rushmore of featherweights consists of Volkanovski, Max Holloway, your boy Conor McGregor.
You're stirring the pot.
And to me, the consensus best will still always be Jose Aldo.
Yeah,
it's Jose Aldo. But a lot is on the line here.
List, though. I mean, all kidding aside, it's only been 4. But I mean, Conor, who's a double champ and the biggest superstar in MMA history,
100%.
Jose, the greatest of all time when it comes to this stuff, and just a badass. Volkanovski, who's proving time and time again is a savage, and Max, was beat Jose twice.
Yeah, 100%. Oh. And I feel like, and this is weird as this sounds, I feel like Jose Aldo's spot amongst to me, he is the best featherweight of all time because of look at what he's doing in another weight class already. He dropped the weight class and he's contending for the belt. He's a fight or two away for fighting for a title for the umpteenth time. I'm such a fact guy, and I don't even remember how many times off the top of my head Jose Aldo's fought for the belt. But the fact that he's doing what he's doing in another weight class to me solidifies how great he is as a featherweight. And to me, I got a soft spot. WEC will never die in my heart. He will always be the best featherweight.
I agree. I think he is currently, but I mean, if Volk wins again on Saturday, I mean, he's damn near close to taking that over. I mean, when you look at history itself, because and you even mentioned it earlier, if he does beat Max again, who's coming to take it? Because I mean, I think Max is right up there. The way we saw him fight Yair, he's been taking his time. He's focused on getting this belt back. Yeah. He's definitely going to bring the best version of Max Holloway we've seen in a long time because he always does. Max is always down to put his best foot forward, to kick some ass, and to lay it on the line. So if Volk can beat him again, god damn, man.
Yeah, it's
Go
and
off,
this is a big
good eye, mate.
This is a big crossroads for Max Holloway. I mean, the pressure really is on him. The pressure is not on the champ. He just needs to go out and do what he does best. But to me, the pressure is really ultimately it's on Max Holloway, because it's like, what if Volkanovski wins and doesn't want to leave the division?
Yeah.
Then that forces Max is the one that has to make a move, and he's not making 35. He's going to have to go back up to 55, and it doesn't get any easier going up in that weight class.
Yeah. But hey, we got at least one more fight we got to talk about on this card. We could talk this one all day. I'll give you the option on what you want to talk about first, Michael. Obviously, we got Pedro Munhoz and our guy Sean O'Malley fighting out there, or crazy old Strickland taking on Pereira. So Pereira, which one you want to talk about real quick?
Man, I think it's best, given the fact that there's a reason why Pereira is on this card. I think we got to talk about it. We got to talk Alex Pereira. I mean, this is a guy, he beat Israel Adesanya in 2 kickboxing matches, I believe.
Yeah.
Got the best of him, and that's kind of why he's getting fast-tracked into this position. Sean Strickland is ranked 4th in the world. Alex Pereira doesn't even have a number next to his name, and they are really, ever since the Bruno Silva fight, they're catapulting him to the front against an ultra-tough Sean Strickland. I mean, one of the toughest outs for anybody at 185 pounds. And they said, it's public news, winner gets a title fight. Yep. And to me, this would be, I mean, obviously, if Alex can go out and beat Sean Strickland, he's going to take his spot in the rankings. But to me, this would be the first time a number 1 contender fight has been between a ranked fighter and an unranked fighter. I can't remember the last time that's happened. So there's a big storyline. Wow. And I think that maybe it's not even just the storyline, but it's also them wanting to shake things up for Israel Adesanya, because he really is lapping the division. So it's like, or Sean Strickland wins.
That's where this stuff gets interesting to me, because I always feel that's why I have that little, that the killer gorilla might pull it off, because whenever these plans start to get made,
yes,
shit stuff. Excuse me, we're on YouTube. I gotta be careful. Stuff gets mixed up, and so I mean, I'm excited for Saturday. But again, Pereira has got to get past Strickland, who. Listen, he's going to show up like a dog. He's going to win that fight because he wants to fight for the belt. Dude, all that guy does is wants to fist fight. He loves to fist fight. And this is MMA. And where Sean does really well is in those MMA type boxing exchanges, in close, in dirty. And if he wants to start mixing in takedowns, he's got a great ground game that we just never really get a chance to see, because he does so well at controlling his distance. He's got to be careful of the kicks and the knees, but he could definitely win this fight 100%.
God, I can't
It's going to end up being Strickland and Killer Gorilla. I'm calling
Artem Levin. You know Artem Levin, the kickboxer. I had heard stories, and I'm not going to name my source, because there's one of the most important rules in martial arts. People, everybody watching UFC Roundup, the number 1 rule in martial arts is practice is practice. What happens in training does not matter, because it's not a fight. But I did hear some rumblings that Sean Strickland was down giving Artem Levin fits in pure stand-up rounds, going 5-5s with an elite kickboxer. Could be a guy pegged as elite as Alex Pereira. So Sean's ready for the test that Alex is going to bring. But I don't think that he's going to go out and have a kickboxing match with him. I think he's going to mix in the wrestling. He's going to make it a dirty fight. I know he's going to use that jab. Sean's got a really stabby front kick. I think Pereira is going to go at his legs, just given, Sean's he's got kind of a mangled leg from that motorcycle accident. But dude, I mean, being out here in Las Vegas, you hear the stories you hear Sean Strickland stories all the time. I mean, the guy's in there going around.
I was just up at the PI the other day. I was riding my bicicleta. I wasn't sparring. I was on the trainer, in the back corner, just sweating all over the damn place. But Sean was up there with, oh my God.
Goliath?
No.
Some
middleweight young kid.
Puna.
No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he was all there, bloodied up and busted up. And Sean.
Oh, Shabazian.
Yeah.
Shabazian.
And Shabazian looked like he got good work in. I'm not saying he got beat up the whole time. Around, but you know that you were in there with Strickland, because I just saw blood trickling out all over his nose. I'm like, they were probably doing little glove sparring over there.
Oh, dude, that's all Sean does. Yeah. That's the way Sean trains. Sean doesn't do strength conditioning. Sean shows up to fight, or he shows up to grapple with punches. Like that's all. It's not, to me, it's not the best way to train. But who am I to say? The guy's number 4 in the world on the brink of fighting for a title. So obviously, whatever he's doing is working for him. But like you said, Paul, it slipped my mind until you said it. This is when things start to go off the rails. When there's a plan in place, when there's
a perfect plan. UFC's looking at it. Yeah, they're like, ooh, they can already taste that pay-per-view, right? They're seeing they fought twice in kickboxing. They did this and that, and it's just all going to go.
It reminds me of when Kayla Harrison was in attendance at UFC 269, and they're expecting Amanda Nunes to beat Juliana Pena, and guess what? Ooh, throw a wrench in the gears. That's why I freaking love this sport so much.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And obviously Sean O'Malley taking on one of the toughest dudes in the division, Pedro Munhoz. That's a great fight. The boxing and the sharpness that Sean O'Malley brings. I mean, obviously he's got crazy personality. He's quite the figure. He's got so much star potential, but the dude can fight. At the end of the day, the dude can throw hands like a son of a gun, man. I mean, every time I start thinking, oh, maybe he's more hyped than he is this, he's not. I do think that the kid is legit, and I think people gave him a lot of crap for kind of taking his time, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, in fact, in MMA, we see the opposite too often, where guys, and I was a culprit of this, was rushing, I want to fight the best. Next thing you know, you're fighting a top-ranked guy, and you've had only a few fights in the organization. You're not making the money to back that up. And it's not like the UFC is pushing that on you all the time. A lot of times they're like, all right, well, we'll match you up. And people are like, no, top 15. And then they get it and they lose. Sean's like, no, top 15. Let me make some money. Let me get my feet wet. And now he's starting to build towards that.
Well, he knows his value. I mean, he makes a tremendous amount of money outside the UFC with everything else he does. And Paul, I did the same thing. I hounded Joe Silva to have Khabib Nurmagomedov be my first UFC fight. And he was like, shut up, kid. I'm like, I want to fight that guy. I want to fight the undefeated Russian guy.
Drink an IPA. Shut up, Michael.
He's like, no, you're not fighting him. You're fighting Anton Koivanen. You're going to work your way up. But no, I agree. It's like when you get in the UFC and you have title aspirations like you and I both do, it's like you want to fight the best guys, especially when you're confident. And Sean has that confidence, but he also has a certain amount of business smarts. And to me, it's just so funny because I've known who Sean O'Malley is for a long time. He cut his teeth on the regional scene in Montana. And it's just crazy to see his rise to superstardom, because he was just this kid from Montana, and now look at him. He's just like driving a Lamborghini. He's got this huge house in Arizona. Like, he's just like, it's great, but he does have the skills. He has the skills, but this is a huge test, Paul, because look at Pedro Munhoz's schedule.
Calf kicks, baby.
Look at the strength of schedule. He's fought Dominic Cruz. He's fought the who's who at bantamweight. He's never been finished in the UFC. I don't think he's ever even been finished in his career. And O'Malley wants to go out and knock you out. And that's where things could be problematic for Sean. Is you should just go out and focus on winning. You're going against a guy that it doesn't matter what you hit him with. Unless you shut Munhoz's lights out, he is going to come get in your face. You could be kicking his butt from pillar to post, and he will keep walking you down like a freaking Terminator. So I think Sean needs to not worry so much about the sugar show and putting on these emphatic finishes for the fans, that the things that the fans love him for so much. You need to just focus on going out and winning and getting over the hump. I've always said one of the hardest humps to get over as a young fighter is to get that signature win. Like, it eluded me for so long. Fought Jorge Masvidal, lost that one. Fought Joe Lozon, lost that one. Like, every time I would get a shot at a guy that's in the rankings or at the top of the heap, I kept coming up short. It's like you always want to – this is the win that Sean O'Malley needs to get him over the hump. Beat that ranked guy in the top 10 to get him over the hump. This is a big test for Sean O'Malley.
I agree. It's a big test for Pedro Munhoz too, but he's been there. He's done that. Great card, 276 this weekend. But more importantly, I put a tweet out there yesterday to get some fan questions. And we got them.
Let's
go. We're going to get right in here. Instead of 5 rounds, we're going to do 6 rounds. We got a bonus question here as well. So number 1, Chris Campbell asks, was there ever a time in your fighting career where you landed what you thought was a fight-ending shot, but your opponent kept coming?
Oh, man. I mean, I got one right off the get-go, Paul.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sure.
Speaking of Jorge Masvidal, I had the best, still to this day, one of the best rounds of my life. I had never dropped anybody in my life, just almost like taking a shot at myself. But I'm fighting Jorge Masvidal in Seattle, dude, and I'm freaking fired up. It's like a home crowd. Dude, I go out there and I freaking floored him. Like I hit him I punched through his head and he like collapsed. I thought he died. And I was like, I hit him and he just fell. And it's never happened to me before. And I was like, I got him. Jumped on his neck, tried to choke him, dropped him again, and then he beat me with 1 second left in the second round. So that's my first pro loss. But yeah, I hit him with everything but the kitchen sink. And I remember looking at him across the octagon in between rounds 1 and 2, and I'm fatiguing. The nerves are getting to me, and he's like giving me that Jorge Masvidal, the game bred cold stare, and I was like, I'm screwed. Yeah. He broke me, man. He got the best of me. I have no shame saying it. Nothing but love for game bred, man. He got me.
As for me, I'm usually the guy that's doing this to people in my career. I'm sure I got hit with shots that people are like, are you kidding me? Like, for real? But one that really stands out to me was early in my career. It was my 5th pro fight. It was this guy, Corey Bleakin, who was a really good wrestler from New Jersey. He trained with Jim Miller and all those guys. And he broke my nose. That's when I first broke my nose, and I backed up, and he rushed like sloppy exchange at me, and I sat down, left hook, clean, cold cock, straight, dropped him, fell back, head bounced off the canvas, and he literally somehow turned onto his hands and knees and started crawling away, and instead of me hitting him again, I took his back. He got out of it, turned into me, and starts wailing on me. But in the moment, dude, I remember I hit him. I turned back. He's just not there anymore. He's flatlined on the ground.
Oh my God.
But turned and scooted and got out of there. That was definitely one that I remember where I'm like, and then we had a bloody battle for 3 rounds.
Is that CFFC?
Yeah, back in CFFC.
You know what? I'm going on UFC Fight Pass tonight, and I'm gonna go see if I can find that fight.
If not, I can always get it to you. I'll hit up Rob Haydak from CFFC.
I gotta see this. I want to see some old Paulie Felder. I want to see some of the.
Dude, I scored some takedowns. I scored some takedowns in that fight. I had to wrestle in that one.
Hey, you got that nice takedown against Edson Barboza. I'll never forget that. Bo Paulie, the Irish Dragon double leg. That was nice.
Yeah. No, I was RDA. I got that double leg against.
Oh yeah. It was the RDA fight. That was nice.
All right, question
5 days notice. The Irish Dragon hitting double legs.
Question 2 is: do you think that the 155-pound division needs to update its rankings? I mean, Tony's last win was in 2019, Conor in 2016. Instead, fighters like Gamrot, Tsarukyan, Kudladze, etc., need to be ranked higher. Listen. Here's the problem with the rankings. A lot of people, and it's not necessarily their fault. Some people aren't trying to hold their spot. Some are. But a lot of times you get that ranking, and unless you are beaten out of it, a lot of the times by somebody higher ranked or lower ranked than you taking your spot, you kind of just trickle your way down. So if you're a guy like Tony, you can end up being in the rankings for a long time, even if you didn't win. I would like to see them update the rankings more often to kind of really showcase what is happening, who is winning, who are the guys putting W's together consecutively. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that would be deserved, and it would make fighters have to back up that ranking probably more often than they normally would.
And on that note, it's like, you can't be too hard on Tony. For him, 12-fight win streak, loses to Gaethje, like number 1 or 2, loses to Charles Oliveira, who's in the mix in the top 5, loses to Beneil, who's in the mix in the top 8, loses to Chandler, who's in the top 5.
He's not losing to people
losing to guys below him, and he's Tony Ferguson. So now he's at a crossroads where if and when he does fight again, it's going to have to be against a guy ranked lower than him. Like, hey, I hate to go back to Gamrot and Tsarukyan, but if you can get Tony to sign to fight one of those guys, that would be one of those instances where you could get a guy out of the rankings that like Tony, like using him as an example. But but he's there for a reason. Like when you make it to the top, dude, you shouldn't just be bumped out after just a few losses. This isn't
especially Tony, who was, like you talked about. I mean, it was years where this guy's gone undefeated, and
the guy was in God mode for a long time. You couldn't stop the guy.
So yeah, I know he's a tough example, but I think that you got to give Tony the respect for what he did for so many years. Anyway, number 3, Stone Knicks fan asks, who is the one fighter you wish you could have fought? For me, and for Mike, who's the one fighter you'd like to fight before your career ends?
Ooh, I'll let you go first, Paul.
I mean, for me, there's a couple. Obviously, guys like Khabib, you'd want to have on that list. And I came that close to fighting him for the belt in Brooklyn, and obviously Ali Quinta got instead. That was a heartbreaking weekend. But I would say it's probably got to be Justin Gaethje is still the guy that I really tried to rally for that fight. It was a fight I wanted. Dustin Poirier is another one that I really wanted to fight, and these are just fights that I couldn't get for some reason. I was asking for them, I wanted them, and that was the other reason that I kind of retired when I did. It was like I'm not getting these fights that I want. It's not so much I was dodging the guys behind me, but I felt like I had earned the right to get some of these bigger fights, and it wasn't in the cards for me anymore, so that's why I hung them up. But Gaethje, just such a fun fight I think we could have had.
I think you and Connor would have been a lot of fun too.
Who's that?
You and Connor would have been a lot of fun too.
Well,
Paul.
of course, there's always right, but I mean, realistically, of course, we all want to make a ton of money. We want that shine that you get when you're facing Connor in a big fight like that. And again, I know we bring this up and we talk about Connor a lot, but you get a lot. I mean, the red panty night is real, right?
It's
I mean,
a real
you
thing.
get that fight, and then it's. So yeah, those are just shit. Anybody in the top 5, really. Another match with Charles would have been great. I could go all day. You go.
That's tough. When I
you're
was
still in it.
55, I always wanted the Ferguson fight. I was signed to fight him in the main event. They were supposed to go down in Sioux Falls, and that's when the ball was rolling really well for me at lightweight. I was coming off the win over Beneil Dariush. Joe Silva was like every guy I asked for, he was giving it to me because it was making sense. And that's I had that really, really bad back injury that put me out for about a year. But obviously that it doesn't interest me now because I'm in a different weight class. But at one point in time, the Ferguson fight was the one that really eluded me. As crazy as it sounds, I always wanted the Khabib fight. When I watched him fight Gleison Tibau, I was like, I could beat this guy. I think I could beat this undefeated Russian guy. And obviously I as well got, I was very close to fighting him in Brooklyn. But at 170 pounds, I want a shot at the champ, man. I'm still here. I'm still competing. Still trying to get back in there and just, coming off a couple hiccups. And I was in the talks of fighting Kamaru at one point in time before I got booked against Vicente Luque. And I had actually heard, and I don't want to say who told me because I'm not trying to roll on anyone, but I was told that if I would have beat Vicente Luque at 265, I would have got to jump the line and fight Kamaru Usman. So I've always wanted a shot at the champ. And just like you, Paul, we've always talked about this. I'm not here to be second best. I'm not here fighting for a paycheck. There's a million other things I could do in life. I just want to know what it's like to be the best in the world for the day, for one day. One day, I just want to know what it's like to wake up in my hotel room, open my eyes, and see a UFC title sitting on my end table. It's going to happen someday. Still working on it.
Buddy, you're still there, buddy. Still there.
Yeah.
That's the answer. That is the answer that you needed to say, by the way. I was hoping you were going to say that. Anyway, number 4. This is from Housecat, who watches MMA, asks who I know and have interacted with on Twitter many times. This guy has a lot of good things to say. Huge fan. I kind of know who he is beyond who the Housecat is. It's a pretty funny account. If you don't follow this guy or see this stuff. He asks a good question. And he says, what's the angriest either of you were at a friend for eating something delicious during a weight cut? And did your outburst look anything like this? And you got to go on and see De Niro. It's hilarious, this post. I will start this one.
Yeah,
I will start this one because as soon as I read this, I actually read this on Twitter before it was picked from Ricci last night. Aaron Meisner, my coach, and I'm still friends with him to this day and talk to him. I'm in the MGM. I'm getting ready to fight Danny Castillo. Christine, at the time, pregnant with Aisling, in the hotel. We're cheap fighters at the time. He was sharing the room with me up until that point, I think. And then he was going to get another spot or something like that. But it's like day before a weight cut. He comes walking in the room. I have 2 from Aaron. Walking in the room, eating the Chinese food from down in the food court at the MGM. And you know what Chinese food smells like, even if you're not cutting weight. You're just like, like General Tso's chicken or sesame chicken or beef lo mein or something. And he comes walking in, and I was like, are you effing kidding me, bro? Are you eating Chinese food in the room right now while I'm cutting weight? Are you serious? And he always did this thing. He goes, what? I got to eat. I didn't want to eat it down there, so I brought it up here. I was like, that's all you have to say? Another time, I'm in the little sauna boxes at, I forget what hotel we're at, but I'm cutting weight for, I don't even know what fight. But everybody's in the room. We're all getting through it. I'm going tub to the box. Aaron, again, still a friend of mine, but I'm going to throw him under the bus for all these. Comes walking in the room. It's like a Thursday night, and we're in Vegas. He comes in. He's got like a rum and Coke. He's just drinking a rum and Coke, but he's got all the ice and Coca-Cola and rum, and it's clanging around, and it just sounds so effing refreshing and cold and delicious. Oh, man. And he's offering, anybody else want a rum and Coke? Anybody else want a rum and Coke? And I was like, get the out of my room right now. Anyway, you got it.
Oh my God. See, I'm not that bad about it anymore now that I'm 170. It's still a cup for me. It's still a cup for me. But, dude, when I was at 55, I had this one story, Paul. So when I fought Jim Miller, my weight was decent, like for when I say decent, I'm like walking in
185.
And I'm in my mind, it's like my birthday week. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to In-N-Out Burger. Pardon me. I don't give a crap. I'm going to In-N-Out Burger. I'm getting a cheeseburger. And so this actually isn't me getting mad, because usually I'm like, I would just leave. I wouldn't go to dinner with the guys. Like, they would know I get so hangry. Like, they just don't bring anything around me, because I'll just get agitated and pissed off. But this is Cecilia, my best friend, getting mad at me because I was so persistent. Like, I'm going to In-N-Out. I want a cheeseburger on my birthday. And he's like, you're not getting a freaking cheeseburger. You're like almost 20 pounds overweight. I'm like, dude, it's fine. I'll run it off. I'll get the calories. I'll go on a run. And he's like, literally snapped on me. You're not getting an effing cheeseburger. I don't care what you say. And then I start cutting weight, and I'm having not a fun weight cut. Like, I'm really like, this is one of the toughest weight cuts I ever had to 55. And he, like, as I'm dying, like a few pounds to go, he's like, "Bet you're thinking about that freaking cheeseburger." I'm like, and me with my withered voice, my lips stuck to my teeth. I'm like, worth it. I still would have eaten it.
It was worth it.
And one other fight, I did forget to say this. Going back to the last question, I don't want to backtrack. I know we're going long, guys. Back to Stone Knicks fan question. Go Knicks. My other fight I want to fight at middleweight. I want one fight at middleweight before I retire. I want 3 wins in 3 weight classes. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I want freaking In-N-Out.
Well, that can happen at middleweight, I imagine.
That's going to happen in the next hour.
Question 5. Rob Dean asks, what's the correct way to order a pastrami sandwich? A marble rye or pumpernickel, hot or cold, yellow or spicy mustard? Well, I don't really order too many pastrami sandwiches from like delis and stuff like that. But if I were to do this based on what I'm seeing right now, I would order it on marble rye. I love marble rye.
Yeah.
I would go cold, and I would probably do yellow mustard because I love spicy mustard, but we'll go spicy mustard. I'm not sure. I don't know what the correct answer is, but I like spicy mustard better than yellow.
There is no correct answer, Paul. It's the way you like your sandwich is the way you like your sandwich, baby. There ain't no wrong way about it. For me, I would probably go marble rye. I would go Dijon. I like Dijon mustard. I'm not a big spicy mustard guy. I'm not a big yellow mustard guy. I would go Dijon mustard, but I would go sauerkraut. I'd like to throw some sauerkraut on there, kind of mix it up.
Yeah, I like sauerkraut.
I would go cold, but I would toast the bread. So I would toast the bread to get the crunch, and then I would do the meat cold, a little sauerkraut. Would you do cheese, though? Do you do cheese on a pastrami sandwich?
No, I don't think you do cheese. Ricci, don't do cheese on a pastrami sandwich, do you? Yeah, if we're doing a Reuben, which is different, we're talking a different sandwich.
And with pastrami, I'll do any bread, honestly. Like, I'm not like super particular about like
Any rye, I love rye bread. So
Yeah,
that
rye
as soon
bread's
as I
good.
get a rye option, I'm going rye bread.
Yeah.
Number 6, a bonus question from Jeremy asks, is a BLT even a top 5 sandwich? Yeah, it is. It's one of
Dude,
my
for
favorite sandwiches. God
sure.
dang it. I love a BLT. And a bonus off of the bonus question is, what is the top 5 sandwich list? Well, okay. I'll go first, Michael, because we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, this is a long one, but it's so good.
For me, my top 5 sandwiches, I don't even know if we're going to get through top 5, but I'm going to go just a straight up Philly ham and cheese hoagie from like a good hoagie shop is my number 1 sandwich. Number 2, I love a BLT. I love a Cubano. I love a grilled cheese with bacon and tomato. And then we'll go like a chicken cutlet sandwich.
For me, and this isn't ranked in any order, I love a good club sandwich. Love a good club. I like just a regular roast beef sandwich with like provolone and Dijon. Just
Can't
on
go
like
wrong.
Just
Classic.
on a good bread. Yeah, something classic. I love a meatball sub, paisan. I love a good hero sandwich. Like I love like a salami, pastrami,
Yeah, so that's like a hoagie. Yeah.
Yeah, the gabagool, as Jared Gordon would say. Gabagool.
Shout out to Jared Gordon.
And you know what? This is kind of abstract, but I love breakfast sandwiches.
Dude.
Yeah.
There was another question I saw, and it was somebody asked, what's your favorite breakfast sandwich? Something about sandwiches. And that, you know what? I'm going to swap out the chicken cutlet and throw in on a hoagie roll a bacon, egg and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup, just from the Roach Cart on the corner down in Philly or New York.
But how do you have the egg done? I like the egg runny. I want to bite into it. I want the yolk.
It depends. If I'm getting it from the cart, I just want it kind of like all fried together, not scrambled, but it was yolky, and then let it cook a little bit.
Yeah.
And you melt that cheese on there, a little ketchup.
Money.
No, or
God, we went long. I'm so sorry,
egg
everybody. This is one of our longer shows, but God dang it. Just having too much fun.
That's it for us here at Roundup. UFC 276 this Saturday. Tune in. If you're at International Fight Week, go buy Michael a beer. Say hello to him for me. And
let's go.
Yeah, 276. Big fights this weekend.
Peace out, Paulie.